Hi, I'm Rodney Apple. I'm the founder and managing partner of SCM Talent Group. And we're excited to launch our new supply chain technology practice. This is an area, supply chain tech, that I've personally been recruiting in over my 25 years in supply chain recruitment. In my corporate days with Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Kimberly-Clark, and Cummins, I did support the supply chain IT functions, typically cutting across operations, manufacturing, procurement, obviously the planning functions, and pretty much the whole end-to-end. So this is in our wheelhouse, but we haven't really had a dedicated, specialized resource to sort of drive this and provide some additional value for our clients. So I'm very excited to welcome Palak Shah to SCM Talent Group. Palak, you want to dive into your background and how you're going to support this effort?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Rodney. Again, I'm Palak Shah. I'm a senior executive search consultant here. I've had about 20 years of experience, cutting across companies of all shapes and sizes, corporate side, agency side. It's been an exciting journey and really thrilled to take it to another level here at SCM Talent Group.
So if you're looking for recruitment support within supply chain technology, whether it be on the software side or the hardware side, we can support your needs. This spans across material handling equipment, automation, robotics, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and related. Basically, the things that power your supply chain. You can reach us at SCM Talent Group, and we'd love to hear from you. Yeah, in the space of supply chain technology, it's evolving very rapidly. We're seeing artificial intelligence has been interweaved from a very fundamental level in a lot of these software packages over the years, but we're seeing a pretty rapid advancement, and that extends into into your material handling equipment and robotics. The next evolutions are powered with AI, and so the workforce needs to come up to speed quickly with these new technologies. So a lot of the user training and adaption is critical for success, and that's what we hear is a big challenge and a big gap when we interface with our customers. Soft skills is equally important. It's not just understanding how to use the technology, but how to teach others and coach others how to leverage the technology to extract maximum value.
Thanks so much for making those points, Rodney. Actually, it got me thinking that some of the other dimensions that come to mind when it comes to tech hiring, the supply chain landscape, is this skills shortage kind of factor. If you just look at the tech talent supply chain perspective, on both ends of the spectrum, we're dealing with a skills issue. Candidates and professionals coming out of the universities and colleges who don't have the skill sets just yet, but they have the potential. They're ready to grow and adapt, and having those kinds of leaders in the organization who know how to nurture that level of talent is going to be really, really critical, because it's not going to be possible to completely stay up to speed with all the dynamic changes that are happening across technology. So you're going to need to constantly be on top of that generation to nurture them and make sure that they have the firepower and the backing of the organization to evolve and grow into those new tech spaces. Beyond that, on the other end of the spectrum of the tech talent supply chain is the aging workforce. Right. So you got a lot of seasoned tech professionals who are going to be retiring, and some that maybe should be retiring but will hang around a little longer because cost of living is going up and people feel like they need to work longer. So that's going to create other types of interesting dynamics. I just remember from my time at Guardian Life Insurance, we were involved in a pretty substantial initiative to plan for the year 2030, when about 2/3, I believe, of the workforce was going to be of retirement age. And when I say workforce, I meant the tech team, the tech organization. So that's a pretty significant, a percentage of any tech organization, especially one as big as Guardian. So these are going to be really, really important themes for executives in the supply chain industry to be mindful of when it comes to planning for the future of their tech organizations.
Yeah, and we're also seeing the economies of scale work to the advantage of mid-sized and smaller companies. Typically the larger corporations with big IT dollar budgets are typically adopting a lot of these newer technologies first. So we're seeing the adoption levels increase as things flow downstream in terms of company size, and so that's the good news. But you're also seeing that generate a higher demand for talent for those that, in particular, know how to implement these solutions and do it the right way. You also have an abundance of other competitors coming into the landscape and are presenting these shiny new objects that a lot of false promises are being made. I can't even count how many times I've heard from clients that have that really good salesperson sold them something and the solution did not do what it was supposed to do. Robotics solutions or automation solutions, and I hear it maybe weekly where a company made a big expensive mistake and the equipment's sitting back in the corner of a warehouse collecting dust. So you have to be really, really careful and not just chase the next shiny object, but at the same time you can't rest on your laurels and just stick with what you've had. AS400 blue screen type environment where sometimes technology can be the main differentiator, and next thing you know, you're someone's taking your market share, someone's taking your lunch.
Yeah, actually, bouncing off of some of the themes you mentioned, one that pops out is this idea of transformation, change, and making sure everyone's on board, especially with respect to adoption levels. Sometimes you buy the shiny new object, you can do something with it, but you don't know how, or you're too afraid to because you don't know what there's just already so much resistance in the organization, and you need to make a move, but you can't get the internal buy-in. So you need leaders who are capable of drawing that buy-in out, convincing, influencing, and ensuring that people's jobs are being enhanced, not necessarily cut off at the knees, because that's the natural fear when it comes to change, and especially technological change. So those kinds of influencing behaviors are going to be very, very important, along with the natural technical capabilities you're looking for especially when it comes to managerial and leadership level roles.
That's where things typically fail with transformations is leading change the proper way and getting buy-in, making you get your users involved early and often, and they need to be part of the solution when it's center-led and rolled out, and here's how we're going to do it, and you're going to face those pockets of resistance, and it's just not going to stick in the long term, and then you find yourself people doing things kind of the old way.
So when you're not hiring the best tech talent, what's happening is, let me take a step back. Most organizations typically look at the tech organization as a cost center. This is the cost of doing business. We need to keep the lights on. We need to have some applications running so people can, do what they do on Excel and Microsoft Word and all these things. What they don't realize is that technology can be a business driver. If it's worked into the business model, it can actually have a dramatic impact on profitability and revenue growth. But that requires a pretty serious mindset adjustment in the leadership, in the ELT, in the executive leadership team. So that is something that needs to be really, really, that's something that needs to be understood very carefully, and that has to come from the top down. Leadership organizations need to recognize that technology can be a significant influencer in not just driving profitability, not just driving profitability, but also attracting the best talent to organizations, also attracting additional types of funding and investment into organizations. Yeah. One big theme I'm seeing in a lot of the tech positions that are open out there and on job boards and in conversations I'm having with all shapes and sizes of technology executives and leaders is analytics. That's becoming kind of it's gone. It's no longer a nice to have, actually. Even functional leaders in procurement and especially in planning, distribution, fulfillment, warehousing, etc., are expected are increasingly expected to be analytic fluent. So this is becoming a theme, not just with functional leaders, but of course in very analytic heavy functions within the organization. So, the planning organization is the first, one that comes to mind where analytics is actively plays a heavy role. But I'm seeing trends in various parts of the organization. Data is driving a lot of decision making now. It's not just gut and instinct or just personal experience.
Yeah, I think as we speak with our clients and with companies that are seeking supply chain talent in general, and to your point, data analytics is the given. They have to be fluent in data, being able to visualize it, not just work in Excel and cranking out spreadsheets. It tells a very powerful story when you've got solid data and you can get it very quickly, instead of having to do all kinds of workarounds and combing over the different organizations to get what you need. The tools are more sophisticated than ever, and they're continuing to advance, and they're looking for people that are fluent in the analytics as well as the technology. There's also, as we talked about earlier, the soft skills go in parallel. If you want to move up in the organization, you've got to be able to influence change, as we've hit on, and these solutions are going to fail unless you can get that user adoption to stick. And so we're often called on to replace candidates. It comes down to a couple of things. Typically, on the leadership front, they're lacking the ability to adapt these new technologies and to bring in the level of analytics that are needed for the business to make quicker and better decisions. And sometimes candidates get also stuck with firefighting. They're in the weeds, they're in the fine details, and they stay there for too long, and they're not able to float back up and focus on these strategic initiatives. Whether it's rolling out a TMS or WMS system on time and on budget, or leading a larger scale transformation where, hey, we're going to be putting in SAP, or we're going to be upgrading to the latest version. And these are massive projects, and it takes a collective team and especially the right leaders that can drive that change. So that's what we see, and that's what we're called upon to find when we look for new leaders.
So even from a very technical perspective, once you get to the lead, manager, and above levels, there's an expectation that you have a much more deeper and richer understanding of the business you're supporting. So that business fluency is becoming more important amongst tech professionals, and that's another theme I've been noticing. You can't just be heads down, as Rodney was alluding to before, and be coding away or kind of immersed in your tech universe. That's important. That's the kind of core function of your responsibilities. But you have to be able to kind of take a step back understand the business drivers, and be able to communicate very, very effectively with the line of business on a pretty regular basis. So these are expectations that are only growing across the managerial and above level roles in technology.
Agree, and I've seen this pendulum swing over the years where when I started recruiting in supply chain, the soft skills were very abundant. Mm-hmm. Baby boomer generation, and so forth, and now that's inverted, and kids coming up nowadays are they have the technology, they have the hard skills, right? They're coming out of college, typically hitting the ground running, maybe not with everything, but at least with the fundamentals. But their common theme is that they're lacking the soft skills, and this is creating problems sort of in that middle where they get into those leadership ranks. We just spoke with a client yesterday that's, they're asking us to find more seasoned people. They do a lot of recruiting out of college, and they like to promote from within, but they just aren't able to move people up quick enough, maybe compared to 15, 20 years ago, because of the lack of soft skills. And that's wreaking havoc across many, not just supply chain, but across many functions and many businesses. Finding those diamonds in the rough is becoming more challenging these days.
Absolutely.
This supply chain technology practice, the vision behind it, and again, we've been recruiting in this area off and on, myself for 25 years, as I alluded to with the Home Depot, followed by Coca-Cola Company, where I spent about 10 years of my career. Always supported the supply chain IT functions, and we've extended that into SCM Talent Group. We've supported clients. HD Supply is a company we supported. As a matter of fact, that's where I met Jay Morrison, our director of recruiting. He's a former client of ours. He reached out and needed some support as they were going through a significant supply chain transformation. They were standing up some new modules within SAP, so we helped him with some specific searches, systems analyst, things like that. So we're dedicated to putting more resources into this particular product. Palak is a strategic hire for us, and we're excited to have him on board. But I look at it as, the shippers, right? You've got manufacturers, retail, wholesale distribution, collectively known as shippers. That's maker moving products. And that's an area where we can support the IT needs on the supply chain side, whether it's in manufacturing and distribution, planning, logistics, any of those areas. We're very well versed. Another segment would be the technology providers or OEMs that are developing the software, installing software, and on the hardware side too, as it relates to robotics. This also includes your providers that are coming online. We've worked with some supply chain AI software companies here recently. That's definitely an area where we're seeing a lot of investment. So think about the users of these technologies. Think about the creators, developers of these technologies. And the third pillar would be those that integrate these solutions.
So another exciting role that is becoming quite prevalent across the supply chain tech space is product management and product leadership. That kind of encompasses the entire product lifecycle, including product design, so UX, UI designers, etc. And there's an interesting shift happening right now where many product managers are expected to also have some core UX, UI capabilities as well. So there's some convergence going on, but these are roles that are becoming mission critical for success because more and more tech service providers and tech companies, especially in the supply chain space, are needing really advanced product leadership as they develop and evolve their product suites, because it's no longer just about selling software products, but data products are becoming a big deal and big thing. So there are all varieties of assets that can become productized now, and you need great product leaders who understand product market fit, who understand the product development lifecycle, software development lifecycle, how to manage teams, how to interface cross-functionally across organizations to ensure the success of these products and their product launches. So that's a really great theme of new roles that I'm seeing coming out in the marketplace.
And I think the demand too is high. And when you look at your commercial side of the business, you've got to be able to sell it. And a lot of companies are maybe moving beyond the traditional route. Let's pull from a competitor and get their salespeople, and looking for those that have demonstrated the right soft skills, good customer interfacing experience, but they have worked with the product off and on in their jobs, and deploying those folks out into the sales visits, that are kind of been super users that are maybe just tired of working with the system at their companies, and hey, can you help us sell it? And who's a better salesperson than someone that has demonstrated the ability to use it, adapt it, and extract a lot of value out of the tools within a customer, right? And taking that and spreading that out to other customers is more of a peer, right? Hey, I've been in your shoes before. I know how to use the system. It's fantastic. Here's what it's good at. We're seeing that as a trend as well.
Another trend I'd like to add to the mix here is not a very necessarily a specific role or job title, but a core function of many roles in the tech space, and especially supply chain software companies and product providers, is global fluency. A lot of these teams are now globally situated, nearshore, offshore. So you can't just be a tech lead or a tech manager anymore, with a team that's just local. That's just almost these days unheard of. The chances are going to be very high that you're going to need someone who's going to be able to collaborate with team members that are sitting across multiple time zones in different cultures, so that cultural fluency is going to be very important. Those advanced cross-cultural communication skills are going to be very critical to ensuring that everyone's on the same page, that team members feel involved, everyone's feeling excited and enthusiastic about the work they're doing. And also being able to add to that kind of dimension, to interface with consulting firms. A lot of organizations are now tapping into expertise that is being centralized in many of these consulting firms, and they don't want to bring that in-house. It makes more sense to hire them externally. So being able to collaborate and manage those firms and those project teams is becoming very important. Usually this was many years ago kind of area of focus for top-level leadership, but now even project managers and project leads are expected to handle offshore relationships and mature those projects and make sure that they're meeting the deadlines and all that good stuff. So this is a really, really important theme across a multitude of roles in the supply chain technology space.
I think one of the benefits that you'll find from using SCM Talent Group is the deep and broad supply chain expertise that extends across the end-to-end supply chain. We are industry agnostic, manufacturing, retail, wholesale on the shipper side, as well as service providers from 3PLs to technology companies, and a whole assortment of providers that we've serviced. So we are very fluent across all of these areas. We work with tiny startups, infant startups, up to Fortune 15, and most of our clients are somewhere in the middle. But we understand the supply chain fluency and how it intersects with technology. Again, the software and the hardware that powers your supply chain. Our reach extends across all these industries, across a lot of these types of technologies as well, TMS, WMS, your planning systems, et cetera. So we have the reach, the knowledge base, and we now have a very dedicated resource who has very technical depth. So when it comes to screening and assessing candidates, I know you're not going to miss a beat, right?
Absolutely not. I think you made some really great points, and one thing that comes to mind is that because of the tech fluency, we're going to be able to see the dimensions of candidates that sometimes get overlooked. Those aspects when it comes to the tech capabilities, to their managerial, their soft skills capabilities, we're going to be able to draw those out and package them in a way that make sense to our clients, that okay, this is how this individual solves the core problems you're looking to have solved. And so that's where we kind of stand out, and that's how we're going to be able to not just, there are millions of recruiting firms out there that can toss tech resumes over a fence. That's not what we're here to do. That's not what we're interested in doing. We're here to ensure that you get the right talent with the right combination of complex capabilities that you're looking for to solve those complex challenges.